Hey everybody, Real with Wes, day one. Hope everybody had an awesome weekend, an exciting time. Hope you guys enjoyed Grace Life, man. It was awesome. I was able to be there for in person for Friday service. It was really cool being back in person, just seeing people, seeing church. It was awesome. And then of course, the rest of it I got to watch virtually, which was really exciting. So let me get on into this week as we get going here, get my notes and make sure I go over this stuff. So this week I'm going to be talking about how to navigate life. Now, this could go infinite, this could go a lot of different directions, but I'm gonna be really calculated. I'm just give one big key to success of navigating life I've learned from the word and learned from my own experience each day. And we're gonna just keep it moving. The first one, this is one I talk about often because I believe this is one of the foundational pillars to being successful in anything in life and all endeavors. Now, when I'm talking about navigating life, I'm talking about every area, day to day. I'm not talking about one specific thing. Not talking about just being a minister, even though it's included, your job, relationships, everything. The key to life is humility. That is my first starting place, is humility. God talks about this all the time, submitting to him. Whenever we see that word submission, it's talking about not slavery. It's talking about just willingly submitting ourselves to him. I willingly submit myself to my wife to allow her to speak into my life, to have value, to have weight. When we're humble, we're able to receive. Humility is the ultimate position to receive. Now, what are we receiving? Wisdom, revelation, understanding, gifts. That can be physical things also, but that can be intellectual things also. It allows us to be open to be a student at all times for the rest of our lives. The position of humility you never arrive out of, you never graduate from. If anything, you graduate further into, is what it is. The position of humility will be a student mindset. The position of humility will be of a serving attitude where you'll serve people with your emotions, serve people with, instead of your personal opinion all the time, you'll be willing to sacrifice that at times. I know that's like really hard to hear sometimes, but it also brings us out of, it's not all about me is what I mean. We're not becoming people's doormats. We're not tolerating abuse, but humility is a godly thing. Humility is a beautiful thing, a place to be, to receive things and then to pour out onto others. Being in humility is being a good listener. Man, when you can hear people, you may not always agree with, when you hear from diversity, different perspectives, different outlooks, different insights. But all of that is about just being this vessel to receive. And you're not better than anyone. You're not walking around arrogant, big-headed or anything. We never graduate with all the accolades we could experience in life, with all the success, the degrees, the information, the knowledge we could get, the depths of revelation of knowing God. We never get out of this place of humility. If anything, it should tell us how much we should be humble. If anything, it should just bring us further where it's like, man, God, I need you even more. See, when you're getting information, you're realizing not just how much you know, but how much you don't know also. This is so important when you're navigating life, to operate in a position of humility. In your relationships, you never get better than anyone. In your job, you never get better than anyone. But it leaves you in this beautiful thing. You're always growing. You're always maturing. You're always developing. Because when you're not, man, think about this. When you're not in the place of humility, you're in the place of pride. And pride, you can't learn anything. Pride, you can't grow. Pride, you're living in fear, actually, is what you're living in. In pride, you can't receive anything. You can't grow in anything. You can't embrace the newness of what God has empowered you with. When you talk about dreams, goals, vision, task, everything in life, man, when you can operate from this place of humility, it's a place of strength. Don't let anybody fool you in thinking that hardness and that prideness is real strength. That any weak person can actually do that. It takes a true strength, a true patience to operate in humility, because that'll bring you to a place of patience. It'll bring you to a place of, because impatience is a place of pride, actually. The more all those things that, it's not always, let me not give you all the examples of what humility does, but what pride will do, because that's the alternative. Pride will have you beat down people, talk to people ugly, treat people, make you make impatient, unwise decisions in your life. It'll always get you caught up in your ego. It'll always keep you running your mouth and saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. You know, you will walk in such a level of untactfulness instead of wisdom. You will walk in such a place of ignorance at times. Pride will keep you in that place, but humility causes you to live above that, is what it does. But Jesus talked about this. He talked about it to his disciples when they were arguing, who's the greatest amongst us? He's like, man, the greatest among you is the servant, because I came to serve. Even God didn't think he was so good that he couldn't come down on the earth. He was so above us. People present God as, no, God was like, nah, I can walk amongst my creation. I can walk amongst my people. Why? Because God never thought it robbery that he became just as much man and laid aside, yes, he was deity at the same time, but laid aside all those things where it's like, boom, snap of the finger. God could have just done whatever, but he chose to come as one of us and live amongst us. Why? To serve. He served his own creation. Imagine that. We focus so much on serving God. Well, first our focus is how much God has served us. And that's how we learn to serve even better. How humble God submitted to us, submitted unto death for us, submitted unto all our cruelty, all our action. I'm not talking about being abused, but submitted to all those things. And we learn we can do the same thing. Why? Because he saw something greater at the end. See, humility will allow you to see the long game. Humility will allow you to say, you know what? I'm enduring this for the short season. Why? So I can gain the reward of the long season. Humility is a deposit you put that builds interest, positive interest for your future and a positive return. Humility is sowing that seed of humility to reap a harvest that comes from that. But it's the long term. Humility will never get you the short term gratitude. That's not how you navigate life. Humility goes for the long term, but the long term is everlasting. The long term, you build a life. The long term, you build real lasting success. The long term, you build real lasting relationships is what you do. Man, humility is such a powerful place. And we can't get caught with all the rhetoric, all the other things that imitate humility and are really just forms of pride. And pride is always, let me give you this last thing and I'll leave you this. It really is about me first. And self-centeredness is what it is. It's not about using your voice. It's not about, being a doormat. It's not about not using your voice, being quiet. It's not about any of that. That's not humility either. It's about when I always got to be over everybody else, be better than everybody else, and to be more important than I really am in front of everybody else. And it's always me first. It's self-centeredness. That's what pride does. But humility takes us further and further and further and further away, and actually will cause us to live free of self-centeredness. And that's how you navigate life. Man, if you can stay free from this stench of self-centeredness, and you can grow out of it and you can mature it, you will navigate life successfully like never before. So that's what I encourage you to do. Operate in the place of humility. How do I do it, Wes? God, I need you. And never think you're more important than you really are. You're valuable, you're precious, but you're not better than anyone when I say that. Humble yourself. Allow God to speak to you. Take heed to you. Allow to absorb the people, the good people that are around you, that can pour into you, that are mature, that can mentor you, man, and watch your life thrive. You will thrive like never before when you submit to God. You stay in that place of humility. And the only place really up is God lifting you up in his timing, in his season. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Stick with me this week, and we'll go across point by point, how to navigate life, some keys to success. But remember, be humble, submit to God, and watch your life thrive. I'll catch you tomorrow.